George Evans talking about cricket and the sea, where all the sports come together, and it's happening again this Saturday. Gordon, we've just been talking about the history actually of these teams in these cup finals. The Senior Cup final, it's the biggest day of Pembrokeshire football.
Yeah, 200%. It's the business end of the season. You're right there, Tom. And we got Goodwick playing Monkton Swifts, two teams with a lot of pedigree in Senior Cup and in league success as well. So the final day of the league season down in Monkton Lane, Goodwick got the result down there to win the league. So on Saturday, there's probably a bit of unfinished business for Monkton taking on Goodwick, even though Goodwick are going for the double. It's going to be an interesting game, that one.
I think Monkton may take a little heart from that final. I would have written off their chances quite considerably before that game. I thought they were in a poor run of form. They were hammered 8-3 by Nayland. It seemed a funny result. I think it drew with Fishguard, a relegation threat towards the end of the season. They seemed to be petering out. They obviously came back out for that game. They refocused and we're not for Ben Steele's missed penalties or ifs and buts now. But Goodwick were in a game. They had a game that day, didn't they? So Monkton will now know they can give Goodwick a game.
I think you know what it's like, Fraser. There was nothing for Monkton to win in the league.
Sure.
They rested a few of their top players. Let's say they bit of game management, but they came out on the final day of the season to play against Goodwick.
Yeah.
And Chris O'Sullivan will tell you himself, they had a hell of a game in that game. It could have gone either way. The 3-1 scoreline doesn't justify how close it was.
And they then went on to beat Kilgetty, of course, who I actually fancied in that semi-final.
Yeah, and I fancied Monkton.
But no, obviously Ben Steele, major player, I think, as well. It's fair to say, isn't it?
Yeah, not only Ben Steele, you've got Declan Carroll there as well, Welsh League experience. They are two game. They can win a game at any instant, which Declan proved and Ben proved in the semi-final against Kilgetty. They both scored. But on saying that, Goodwick are so strong all round as well. You can't not say they'll be going for the double. They'll be focused on getting that result on the day. But you just never know on a Senior Cup final day what you're going to get. As we were talking about in past history, Fraser, we spoke about Monkton winning it in, I think it was 2007. Somebody may correct me. The following season, ironically, they played Penna, the only derby game that's been in the Senior Cup in their history, I believe. Monkton were red hot favourites, having been champions of the league and won the cup the previous season. Chrissy Lloyd, who is playing for Penna Robbins that day, is now Monkton Swift manager.
Goes in swings and roundabouts in Pembrokeshire.
And Penna Robbins, actually, they beat him either 1 or 2-0. I think Dean Driscoll scored. He scored one of the goals, I remember, and he played for Monkton as well. So, it's on the day, anything can happen. You never know what's going to happen in these games.
I mean, I think it's interesting. I do think there's actually unfinished business in a big sense of both of them. They're actually, and people forget this, Goodwick were in the Senior Cup final in that 1920 season when COVID hit. The other semi-final, Carew-Monkton, which ironically is a farce now which gets overlooked. But the week before COVID hit, Monkton were due to play Carew, and I think the floodlights failed just before kickoff. If you remember, the game never took place. COVID came along, so what could have been potentially a Goodwick-Monkton final that year. So, in theory, Goodwick have not actually been to the Senior Cup final since last winning it in the treble season 2016. Yeah, and Monkton have been there since 2012 when they were humbled by Hakin that day. I think 5-0. Justin Harding and Nick Woodrow dominated. So it's not actually a stage that either team has frequented in the last decade or so. But my hunch is that Goodwick will be well prepared for it. Obviously, Chris O'Sullivan prepares meticulously for things like this, and they are more used to the big occasions, certainly cup final occasions in the last few years. So I would back them on experience in recent years. But having seen the last couple of weeks, I think it'll be a lot closer. I think Monkton will compete a lot better than I originally thought a few weeks ago. That's for sure.
Yeah, as I keep saying, finals on the day. It's on the day how you perform. It's form book goes out of the window, and anything can happen on that day. We just hope the weather's good. There's going to be a restricted crowd because of the Bridge Meadow. The problem with that. So get there early. That's all I can say. 2:30 if you want to be there, and don't be disappointed if you can't get in, because some of you aren't going to get in. And it's a great day for Pembrokeshire football. It's a great advert for Pembrokeshire football, and it'll be a great game.
Tom's right, actually, when you say about the blue ribbon of the day. It is talking about the London Marathon, obviously in a smaller scale, but it's one of those days in local sport which has stood the test of time. I think you always get a huge turnout. There's always a big day. There's always a tense occasion, actually, for quite a lot of people and players as well. The league obviously takes precedent. It's the bigger achievement, but it's the Senior Cup final, which are the days that the players remember being involved in and that want to grace that stage. It's the day that all crowds turn out for as well. So it is a big day for Pembrokeshire football. It's oh, hang on, Dean Driscoll's piped up.
Yeah.
I thought I'd wake up my mate.
Yeah.
Hey, and actually, Dean, you remember this now. I can remember you long before you got that goal. You actually broke your leg in a Senior Cup final. Please tell me what year that was, because it was a long time ago, and I remember going to visit you in hospital.
Yeah, but for those listening, Dean Driscoll, who Gordon's just been talking about, scored the winning goal in 2007 for Monkton. Didn't score for Penna the following year against Monkton, but great memories of both days. And that's what you were just saying there, Fraser. It's the memories. It is the day that everyone's looking forward to.
3-2, I think, that 2007 Monkton final, if I just want to recall right. James McFadden were playing for...
was it? Yeah, it could have been. Yeah. It's amazing where those years have gone.
What's the most, someone asked me this earlier, God, I think I know what you're going to say.
No.
You could pick one of your most memorable Senior Cup finals, just one. Which one?
1987.
Because you played in one. I'll rephrase that. Aside from the one you played in and won.
No, but it was 3 finals.
I know it was 3 finals, yeah.
No, I suppose one of the best finals I've ever
19
seen.
year ago today.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's frightening.
It's twice he's been made to feel old this evening.
Yeah, one of the best. Got it. Merlin's Bridge versus Hakin in, I don't know what year it was. Gary Dawes as manager. Merlin's Bridge were leading 3-2 with about 10 minutes to go. I think it was James Stanmore equalised for Hakin, and with only minutes on the clock, a hopeful ball down the middle by Hakin. None other and no other striker at that particular time would have got onto it, but Paul Jones, got on the end of it, and it was Kerrison in goal for the Bridge coming out, and I remember him just dinking it past him into the corner of the net, and Hakin dramatically won 4-3. That was probably the best.
That's right. I mean, I didn't actually, it wasn't at that final. I started working the Telegraph by then, not for necessarily the quality of the game, but Merlin's Bridge Care always stood out for me. Merlin's Bridge actually went on to do the cup double that year. Someone was working on it, and Care were in control of that for 3/4 of that game. I think they were 1-0 up, and I remember Joe Lee. He had a very quiet day. He'd been marked out the game by Jack Christopher. And if you were doing match ratings at that point, it's still at 1-0. You were very low down, and from nowhere he unleashed a volley from fully 25-30, a superb goal. And then minutes later, he went clean through in a clinical finish. And the cup final turned on its head. He turned it on its head.
5 minutes, bang.
And I remember thinking it was a sign of a real class player who could be so quiet and almost so irrelevant to the final for so long, and then all of a sudden produce the 2 defining moments of it. And I think Merlin's Bridge actually took that momentum from that finish into the West Wales Cup final. Remember, they played Care in that as well. And they were the better side, the West Wales Cup final. They won that deservedly 3-1. But not necessarily for the whole 90 minutes, but for what happened, for what Lee did in those couple of minutes to turn that game on its head will always be the one which lingers with me, actually.
Yeah. Oh, it's so exciting. Like, you both talked about very poignant memories of individuals turning these matches, high-scoring matches, and whose names are going to be written in those history books this coming Saturday. It's so Goodwick. Who are the ones to watch for Goodwick?
I mean, Rhys Jones, potential match winner from free kicks, and we've seen that.
Yeah, he's been incredible.
Superb free kicking taken, superb one against Monkton. Crucial in destiny of the title again. Rhys Darling, if
he's fit, he can turn anybody. He's a hell of a striker.
I mean, without putting cat amongst the pigeons, because you've got to remember that Kyle Marsh, the Goodwick keeper, is cup tied, and James Gwilt is struggling with injury. Hence why Kyle Marsh came in at the end of the season. So there is potential for Goodwick to have a keeper issue there. I don't know how whether how fit
I
Quilty is.
I think Quilty has had enough time to get sorted. He is a good keeper, Quilty, but
He's my age, God. We don't recover so quickly these days, mate.
Yeah, but he's in goal. He's not an outfield player. So
They said that about wicket keeping.
No, I think they'll be okay there. They'll be okay.
They'll be okay. And then very quickly, because we've got solid goal sounds of Chris Pitcher coming in. Who's the one for Monkton to be watching?
Ben Steele, I think. And like Gordon said,
Yeah, Declan Carroll and Ben Steele are the two lads they've got to watch. They can do a lot of damage in a short period of time if you give them any space.
There you go. You've heard it here. Very exciting. It takes place at the Oggy Bridge Meadow Stadium this coming Saturday, 2:30 kickoff. Get there early, as Gordon said. Otherwise, you're not going to get in because it's going to fill up. Toby from the daytime show is going to be providing the match entertainment. It's going to be a great day. Let's hope the weather holds out. You've been listening to the Pure Sport Show, and with Eaton-Evans and Morris Listers, we'll be back next week. Let us know, get in touch about your sporting endeavours, sport@purestradio.com. We'll do it all again. Coming up next, Chris Pitchford with solid gold sounds for 9 o'clock on a Monday evening.